broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
No, that's just stupid.
Deadites always like to get their freak on, and when we get together we do the Necronomicon. Do the Necronomicon. Come on and do the Necronomicon. Hey there, Ash vs. Evil Dead fans! Welcome to the season finale of Ash vs. Evil Dead on AfterBuzz TV. Tonight we are talking about episode 10, The Dark One.
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh, so much to cover this evening. If you guys haven't already done so, please go to iTunes, rate, subscribe. We want to hear from you, especially because it's the season finale. We want to hear your guys' predictions for season 2. Please go ahead and do that. We are also going to be keeping an eye on the live chat for all of you guys watching live, and the hashtag ABTV Evil Dead. Let me introduce my fantastic panel as we dance, as we sit down, get back up, and lasso all around. To my left, Lex Michael.
That is me. I am Lex Michael all over social media at the Lex Michael. We made it. We're all here. Nobody got heathered. This is very exciting.
Yay! This is very surprising, actually.
No, Emma and I are blonde. I thought we could go on episode 1.
Alana Jordan.
Hi, I'm Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan and on Instagram at That Alana Jordan Girl.
Emma Fyffe.
That's me, Emma Fyffe. You can follow me all over social media at Emma Fyffe, and thank you all for indulging my need for the Necronomicon to be the opening for this episode. I really had a great time. I hope that you all did too.
Don't feel bad. You were not alone in that need and that desire. So I hope that for those of you who have not listened to the soundtrack for the Evil Dead musical, I hope your lives are now enriched. Anyway, I am your host, Megan Salinas. You guys can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. So... And I also want to give another special shout out to Mr. Paul White again, who is joining us on the live chat and stayed up till God knows what time it is in the UK.
Seriously.
So thank you.
Crazy late.
And even for you guys here domestically, I know people from the East Coast who are watching, it's super late for you guys too. So thank you.
It's super late for us. Like, let's get real. I'm a grandma.
I had to pry myself away from the futon to come to talk to about Evil Dead.
Your old lady voice?
Yeah, it's pretty bad, isn't it? Anyway, we were talking about doing failed impressions for 40 minutes, and yeah, so not gonna bother doing that.
It wasn't impressions so much as it was noises, like the occasional, like Burgess Meredith Penguin was just wah, 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 wah.
Anyway, to get back to Ash vs. Evil Dead, because nobody wants to hear our failed impressions for the next 40 minutes. All in all, this to me felt like probably the most solid episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead thus far. Yeah. But as a season finale, like for me, I'm like, okay, that's great. Next week we're gonna get the next episode, right?
Yeah.
As a finale, I have so many unanswered questions that bother me. And I know that we got a season 2, so I know that I need to just cool my jets.
Right, I know, but I agree with you that like this was a great episode. It was a very enjoyable episode. Very well constructed, had that perfect blend of like really creepy, brutal horror like we see in the Evil Dead remake.
Yeah.
But also that comedy and campiness that we've come to expect since Army of Darkness, that Ash vs. Evil Dead has proved it does so well. Great episode, but it did not feel like a season finale.
To me, it felt like a really good first part of a 2-part season finale.
Totally.
You know, it felt like just the very end, there wasn't enough, like there wasn't that button on the end. It just seemed like it was just a little too open-ended for me.
it to me makes me wonder, like, what was the idea? Because they didn't know when they did this that they were going to get a season 2. So if there was no season 2, the way they left it, I think, would have been very, very unsatisfying.
I completely agree.
Knowing, though, that they're going to pick it up presumably about the same time next year at about where they leave it, it is fine. Like, I'm okay with the way that they left it, especially because, as everybody's saying, great episode, and definitely I think the most Evil Dead-y episode of the entire season.
Paul White agrees with you that it was the most movie-like of all of the episodes thus far.
Yeah, I have to say I agree wholeheartedly with a couple of our Twitter fans who tweeted out to us at Chris C.M. Martinez and Felix Smiled Bump. They both have a lot of emotions about this one. Chris specifically says, I have more emotions for this episode than the Necronomicon has crazy demon chicks. And that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of crazy demon chicks.
Yep. It's a lot of feels.
No, and again, it's an excellent episode of both stuff that is genuinely good horror and genuinely good comedy, but at the same time, being a serialized season, there's still a lot of good character beats in here.
Totally,
in terms of, like, that's my Pablo too, things along those lines. And you gotta feel bad for poor Heather too.
They gave us just enough of Heather that I was convinced she might make it until the cabin spat out parts of her.
Really?
I was gonna say, I sort of thought she might make it. I was
like, it's kind of a way to invert the trope because, she's talking, she knows she's gonna die. Ash and Kelly are like, yeah, you're gonna die.
Right.
And everybody in the audience is going, yeah, you're gonna die. So I thought it would have been clever of them to actually have let her live after hammering in how much of a dead woman she was.
Totally.
I agree. Everything that happens to her, she watches her friends die, then she gets her leg busted, then the couch is dropped on her, then she gets nails in her
couch is dropped on her leg.
And you didn't even mention the bugs through your business.
All of that. And she survives all of that. So I'm going, okay, you know what, maybe she... Oh, no, there she goes.
Well, for me, it very much like, we said it coming in that, she's just there as cannon fodder, but like the way she was talking, I felt...
And how literal that became.
Yeah, quite literally, but the...
blood cannon.
Just literally shot at poor Kelly. But with the way that she was talking, I just can't help but go like, I wasn't even supposed to be here today!
Yeah.
Because she didn't even want to go on a hike in the first place.
But that's why
I felt
you
bad
knew
for
she
her.
was doomed, and as soon as you saw those shorts, you were like, it's gonna be bad. This one's gonna be a very bloody, upsetting one. It always is.
Well, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't invert the trope with her, but at the same time, it's like the like genuinely on the edge of your seat stuff that they had with her was really good. And again, like I said, it kept me really tense and it kept me on the edge of my seat, and more than once made me go, oh, as I'm watching all of this stuff like happen to her.
Yeah, watching that scene with Heather was very, I definitely cringed and covered my eyes many times, especially when the nails started rattling in the wall. I was like, oh, this is going to be terrible.
I don't know if it makes me a horrible person, but watching that, I was fine. I was like, oh, the makeup artistry is great in this. All of this is awesome. And then they showed the creepy kids, and I was like, I'm out.
Yeah. I thought it was a really nice touch when she and Kelly were both fighting with the house. Yeah. And the eye appeared in the wall, and Kelly, like, busted the eye and it like exploded all over Heather. Like the way they made the blood like really like goopy as if it was like eye guts on her. It was great. It was amazing.
Well, and that stuff too also felt like that could have been Heather's initiation in the same way that Pablo and Kelly had to get splattered with blood quite extensively early on in the season, and then of course that didn't pan out.
No.
You get decapitated and drop kicked.
I will say
the drop kick was amazing.
Amazing.
I have to wonder if they took like 4 or 5 takes of that and then they just decided, you know what? Dana's not going to kick it that far. Here, let's just go with that.
Well, because if that wasn't an intentional choice, you could cut around that in so many different ways. So I'm really glad that they just let that play in that one shot. It had to be the most ineffectual punt of the head.
Well, I played soccer growing up as a kid, and so I had my fair share of kicks like that, where it's like, it's going across the field. Boop. So I felt for Kelly in this moment. But with the nails, I actually feel like that was an intentional reference to the remake. And I do want to talk about some of the intentional vagueness with some of the exposition in this, because I feel, and we've touched on it before, but I feel like it was a deliberate choice, specifically to give themselves enough leeway so that they could, moving forward, given them enough time to obtain the rights to Army of Darkness, so that next season they can fill in those gaps with details from things that they didn't have the license for initially.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Having the Army of Darkness in the book, like when he opens it, you're just
cool.
like, okay, if they don't get the rights to this, then this is a very missed opportunity for everyone involved, because it would just be so good.
It would, and I feel like the story's going to, because they've done excellent without referencing it so far, but I feel like the story really does suffer when you can't talk about the whole history.
I agree with you, and something that we were talking about a little bit was that there is, certainly vagueness in reference to Army of Darkness, and they still haven't been 100% specific about what went down at the cabin in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what because like we saw the flashback to Jake getting killed.
But we also saw a flashback of Cheryl in the basement.
Right. And I mean, basically what I think thus far they are implying is very much what Evil Dead the Musical did, which is all of those stories happened on the same day back to back, which I love, and I'm super okay with that. But like, I would love them to just be blatant about that. Like, I really wanted Cheryl to be in the basement, guys. I just really wanted her to be there.
At the end of the first movie, she kind of disintegrated.
I know.
So. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that they were doing that intentionally for licensing purposes, or do you think that they're doing it because that it is hard to obtain those rights?
Right.
Do you think that they're just kind of moving the story in their own direction and they're going to fill in those gaps in season 2 in a completely new way?
I think they're stalling.
I think so too.
You know what I mean?
I think that they're intentionally leaving it where it could go either way, depending on if they get the rights or not.
Yeah.
Because
and I have no doubt that if they cannot acquire the rights for whatever reason,
they'll be able to work around it.
Exactly, they'll be able to work around it. They'll tell an interesting new story. But I'm just saying, Ash vs. Evil Dead. Like, if you guys need me to just like go down to like the Delorenzo office and like knock on the door and be like, "Yo, Army of Darkness, let's negotiate."
Aggressive one-woman letter writing campaign.
I could meander down to that office that's right by the Universal parking lot.
Exactly.
And be like, "Hey guys, let's have some coffee. It's no big deal.
Go to the Black Tower. It's like gonna be fine. I'm sure they'll let me in."
Like, of course, I think anybody who's been a fan of the series up until this point wants to see them be able to play with those toys a little bit, because that opens up a lot of really interesting storytelling possibilities. At the same time, this entire franchise's attitude towards continuity in general has always been more or less whatever. So
that is very, very true. It's always been kind of a wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's kind of like, like we referenced how like the musical plays around with the story, and ultimately like they had to write a different ending to that when it went from Canada to off-Broadway. So, you can work around it, but it is definitely more fun if you can include Army of Darkness.
If you can include you primitive screwheads.
Yes, and I really just wanted to reference musical because Billy Pollahan said that there needs to be a musical episode of this.
And then actually says like Buffy, which extra points to
Well, and I mean, if you're familiar with Sam Raimi and Rob Tapert's other shows, like Hercules and Xena specifically, they did several musical episodes of Xena, and they were brilliant.
Well, and I remember a couple of years ago they did Chicago at the Hollywood Bowl, and Lucy Lawless was
she's a great singer,
matron Mama.
Yeah. Oh yeah, her background's in musical theater, so it's kind of a no-brainer.
Since we're talking about exposition, let's go ahead, and since we're talking about Lucy Lawless, let's go ahead and talk specifically about Ruby.
Oh, Ruby.
Because we had because there was so much vagueness, even at the end of the last episode with the reveal that she's a Dark One, we still weren't sure about her intentions. But when we move into this episode, I was kind of laughing, and I was telling you, Emma, before the show started, that I got a very Dr. Horrible vibe.
Yeah.
The world's a mess, and I just need to rule it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and that seems to be Ruby's plan, is to consolidate the evil that she will control and let humanity flourish, because without good there is no evil.
Right.
Talking about that duality again. But there seems to be so much. I still have so many questions about her and about the Dark Ones. Where did the Dark Ones come from?
Yeah.
How many of them are even left? Was she the leader of the Dark Ones because she said she wrote the book, or was she expelled from the Dark Ones and this is all a power play?
That's what I think it is, because they called her a traitor flat out. I think you're onto something with that one.
I don't know. Oh, well, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. All of a sudden, I'm talking. I have no idea, other than, like, yes, okay, so we got some insight into specifically what her plan is, but it also doesn't sound like her plan works out that much better for everybody than what the Deadites were going to do on their own. It's just a question of who's at the top.
I know. And it's really interesting, I think, with her story, because I think there still is some room for interpretation in regards to whether what she's claiming of, like, oh, well, the evil's always gonna be here, so I might as well rule it, or if she really legitimately is like, I'm just gonna take over the world with all my evil demons. You know what I mean?
She flat out is like, I just want it to go back to when the Dark Ones ruled over, and it's like, well, yeah, of course you want to be, like, she's like, I just want to be in charge of everything, and it just be cool, like, when everybody was all, like, cool with me, right, bro?
I wonder if this is, like, okay, guys, have you ever seen The Dark Crystal? Okay,
yes.
So in that movie, the Chamberlain gets banished, and he's like, I'm gonna go get one of these gelflings, and then the Skeksis are gonna accept me again. I feel like that could be going on here.
So just substitute crystal for one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the correct dark.
Yeah, the dark one.
Yeah, there you go.
Dark one, the Dark Crystal, same difference.
And she says a lot of really nice sounding stuff about how, yes, I'm going to shepherd all of the evil over here, and people they'll be okay. The whole, like, without good, there's no
and
evil,
we've
etc.,
already seen puppets, so it ties in.
But the very first thing that happens after Ash makes this deal with her is that massive sinkholes start opening all over the entire planet. So
she's a massive manipulator, and I wonder if, like, she really does believe that she can contain all the evil. Because
I think she absolutely believes she can.
So, but, like, whether or not she actually can, because I feel like in order for that to be true, she has to be the only Dark One left. And we've gotten no word as to what happened to them in the first place.
True.
Why she feels the need, like, she needs to take power. And again, whether or not they were all banished and it was Ash reading from the book that brought her back, if it brought back all of them, or if they've all just been lying low for reasons, and for question mark reasons. And I don't know if, like, she's naive enough, because she's old and wise. I don't know if she's naive enough to think, yeah, I can do all this without there being any repercussions towards me, just so she can be like, I'm queen of the castle, I'm queen of the castle.
Right.
I don't know. I like I said, I just have a lot of questions in terms of, like, logistics and, like, long-term planning on her part.
I think that, again, like, she 100% believes that she can control the evil, but I think we as the audience know that she absolutely cannot.
Well, we see Ash too in this episode say, like, when he's kind of mumbling to himself, and he's like, "You made things way worse than me." But she has the same stubborn Ash mentality of, "No, I'm in control of the situation." That we've seen with all of the characters that think they're in control. They're not in any way, shape, or form, to the point that it's comedic. But for Ruby, it's like, no, you're just going to dick up our world. Stop it.
And I really wonder what exactly she does want in terms of, like, accomplishing, because I get to take over the world. I get that to an extent. But when, like, Amanda the Deadite came in, she wasn't able to control her. She had the Necronomicon in her hand. She had a Kandarian dagger in her hand. And when Amanda flies in, she's dumbfounded. And I don't know if that's because she had genuine emotion for Amanda, or if that was just that's happening right now. Well, Pablo, come with me. Way to be a good distraction, buddy. Like, knowing, like, she had to have known going down into the basement that Ash was going to chop her up with a chainsaw. And if you had any compassion for your former friend,
that Amanda was going to get chopped up with a chainsaw. Yeah.
Exactly. If you have any compassion for her, like, you would think that kind of intervening, even with her in this form, like, would kind of be a priority for Ruby if she cared about her at all.
I don't buy that she cared about her at all.
Yeah, I don't either. Here's my thing, too, is I feel like the Deadites are their version of zombies. They're kind of like they very much are in that we see, if you get killed by the Deadites, like, you can absolutely come back as a Deadite. But I feel like they're kind of low on the food chain in terms of Kandarian demons.
Food chain. I just like that.
Yeah, Ruby seemed to be much more interested in playing mom to these weird, creepy children, which, again, shout out to the makeup department because they looked fabulous.
And they were actual children. They were actual children in full bodysuits, painted in special effects makeup.
I did like that the presence of these kids did touch on the fact that what's happening at the cabin right now, though, like, this stuff is monumental, it's like what's happening with Ash and Kelly and Pablo is small potatoes compared to, like, going out into the world because these little demon kids we see one run behind Kelly and doesn't come back and attack her, and then we see one scare the living daylights out of her coming out of the basement, and he just runs right past her and runs up to her with a flashlight, and then that one disappears too. These people to these demons that are running around, they are not important. It is not important to take out Ash and his friends because they are small fries at this point. And that's kind of an unsettling thought.
Very much so, because if I saw one of those creepy demon children running towards me, I would be jumping in the nearest sinkhole because I'll be like, I'll take my chances.
We rewatched the episode just before we started recording because we all watched last night. We couldn't wait.
Right.
And at that part where Ash is fighting it and sticks his fingers in the kid's eyes, Elena straight up got up and went, gotta go.
No, I can't do it.
Walked away from the table.
I can't. Kids by themselves are creepy enough. Don't add all the more. You've seen The Shining. Kids. Come on. Kids are terrifying.
They are. Come play
Children
with us,
porn. No.
That's amazing.
Forever. Go ahead, Lex, and then I wanted to bring up another
I was
point.
just going to say, I love, too, that they're still dropping Three Stooges references in, because the eye poke was very much a Three Stooges thing, which has been a part of a lot of what Raimi's done since the beginning of his career.
They have. I mean, they brought in a lot of that, like, sort of dancing the line of slapstick comedy without going over the edge to the point that it's just like, okay, I can't watch this anymore.
Seeing the demon kid like crawl around Ash and like as he's like trying to flail him up. It's very, very funny.
There are few joys in life greater or more profound than watching Bruce Campbell fight something tinier than he is.
I'll give you that. It did kind of remind me of an upgraded version of the doll.
Yeah.
Which I was like, nice pick.
And sometimes he even fights smaller versions of himself. And it's adorable.
I was going to say, I just said before we move on, because we did touch on Amanda very briefly. There's a lot of conversation going on in the chat in regards to the character of Amanda. A debate as to whether or not she was sort of a wasted character. So like some people feel that she is, and other people feel that she wasn't. That she was an important story element because you did need to have a character die that you were emotionally invested in. Here is the thing. I think Amanda, as she was kind of a waste of a character. But when I was watching this episode, I was thinking when she came back and she was like, hi, sweetie, or whatever she said to Ash, I was like, Ash needs that kind of love interest character because he always has one. And I would have preferred if she were not Amanda. You know what do you guys know what I mean by that?
If he had gotten a different love interest that wasn't Fisher, so that Fisher could have still been important.
Yeah, so Fisher could have been the badass that she was meant to be.
Because we see parallels with both Amanda and Kelly in terms of being a primordial Ash, in terms of being like...
Yeah.
And I was really rooting for Amanda from the very beginning. Like,
no, me too.
If you guys go back and re-listen to those episodes, I will tell you guys, you will hear me talk about how excited I am for Amanda's storyline, because she's starting off without any help, without any context for what's going on. And she's doing so outside of the cabin.
Totally.
So it's somebody who is out of their element, fighting against these forces of evil, trying to piece everything together without anyone's guidance. She doesn't have a book to tell her that these are ancient Kandarian demons that are possessing people. She, the only thing she had was a vague lead leading to Ash.
I think part of it, too, is because she's such a foil to Ash because she trusts her gut so much. And we see Ash constantly, even, this one, Kelly saying, don't take the deal, don't do... He just constantly rejects his own gut instinct, and having Amanda there who has no reference, who has no source, and is just like, I have a hunch, I have a feeling, this is who I need to go after, this is what I need to go do. Yeah. And up until her end, it was leading her down a really cool path that, for as the audience, being like, in this scenario, that would be who you would connect with, is the people who are taken completely out of their element, Pablo, Kelly, and Amanda. So having her picked off without having it rounded out felt like what?
That was 100% how I felt. I just felt that she was on this she had this really interesting character trajectory, and then it just took a hard left turn and she was dead.
And I get it. I get every show is trying in some way, shape, or form to try to be The Walking Dead, to try to be Game of Thrones, and be like, we gotta keep the audience on their toes by killing off a character. And I get that, guys. But at the same time, in the way that Amanda was killed off, and we got a little bit of crap for it because we were so upset by, and we spent a good portion of our podcast talking about how upset we were. The problem is that she got fridged, guys. Yeah. Yes. And I know that when you guys say, well, no, this needed to happen, it's like, well, sure, somebody needed to die, but the way that she and again,
it was very disappointing.
It was very disappointing. And again, for everybody making the argument that she needed to die, they always say she needed to die for Ash's emotional growth. And I'm like, no, because
I'm not sure that worked either.
He hasn't, because he's...
And in fact, if they were going to use, and it was never 100% clear on the love interest. I mean, obviously, Ash had some interest in her. It was unclear as to whether those feelings were actually mutual or was just mutual in Ash's head. But if they were going to go the route of Amanda being a love interest character, there was an interesting partner dynamic developing there that I could have gone with.
Sure.
Yeah, no, they danced together very well.
Yeah.
They dance fight awesomely together.
Yeah.
But I think that they actually pretty blatantly spelled out that she was interested in him because her entire personality changed.
Well, I feel like they wrote her to be interested in him after she joined their posse.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a weird development.
It felt a little forced.
We talked a lot, the episode where she died, we talked a lot about how that was the first time really where the pacing of the entire season felt off. And for me personally, I still think almost every issue I have with the way that character was handled from inception to her eventual demise could have all been fixed with one additional episode, giving it more context, like that shift in her personality. Why all of a sudden is she into Ash suddenly? Making her death a resolution to her story, making it matter for her more, as opposed to like we're talking about.
Oh, we killed her to make Ash feel bad for a whole 10 minutes.
Right, and of course he's the last character you would need to do that for, because that's not what's gonna happen.
No, but what I kind of looking at this season in context as a season as a whole, I'm looking at her and I go, wouldn't it have been interesting if either A, they let her live so that she could see Ruby's betrayal, or B, Ruby killed her?
Yeah.
Ruby killed her
so
specifically
much more interesting.
because Amanda was going to try to stop her, and she's like, I'm sorry, I hate to do this to a friend, but you're in my way, and then killed her that way.
And then we would have gotten more about Ruby's personality too.
Exactly.
Way more compelling, way more interesting, and way more tragic than just, oh, now won't Ash feel bad?
Isn't it ironic that you fell on antlers? It's like, okay.
It was my one major disappointment this season.
Yeah, I will say that and unanswered questions.
Yeah.
But the chat seems to have the consensus that they all feel that the mistake with Amanda was the love interest arc. Yeah. And Ash Dead 86 said that he thinks that Amanda should have stayed in the mode of just hunting down Ash. And it's not really believable that she was able to just switch from hunting somebody to loving them that she thought.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I will say that, like, I'm probably more reactionary to this show in particular, for one, because I'm absolutely loving this show.
Sure.
And two, because I feel like I've been watching a lot of shows lately where certain very compelling characters were fridged. And I feel like this is just like the straw that broke the camel's back, and that now I'm just angry about all those other characters getting fridged, and that this is just like the pinnacle of it, where I'm like, I'm not gonna take it anymore.
You're Heather. I wasn't even supposed to be here.
I wasn't supposed to be here today. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore. But anyway, yeah, we should probably move on.
Yes.
We mentioned Kelly fighting the house, and along with Heather fighting the house. I want to give Kelly credit because she's the only person outside of the remake that thought, hey, burning this place to the ground, that sounds like a solid idea.
Yeah.
Kelly's smart.
I
love her.
Yeah, she is. She's very smart. And I want to say that, like, Kelly was the one, like, in this episode, I was so not disappointed with anything that happened with her. I just feel like this was an A+ episode for Kelly. When she got kicked out of the cabin, I was like, oh no, is something awful gonna happen with trees? And then it didn't.
And then she's like, nope.
She fought
lit
back.
the house on fire.
She lit the cabin on fire. It was amazing.
Well,
This
and
was
for
my favorite Kelly episode.
Yeah, because she tries to break open the windows with a giant rock, and she tried her best to save Heather to no avail.
Yeah.
But when it's very clear that the house is purposely trying to keep her out, to keep her from helping Ash and Pablo, she's like, I'm not going to take this lying down. I'm going to burn it with my homemade flamethrower. Pablo would be happy to hear that I made my own flamethrower.
I love, too, that Heather even says, well, let's go. Let's just leave now. We'll be fine if we leave right now. And her reaction is, are you high? My friends are down there. I'm going to do everything I can to save my friends. And just in that moment, you're like, I am with Kelly always.
In a lot of ways, in that determination of, like, I'm going to go in there and save the people that matter to me, she was more heroic than Ash was in 2 out of 3 movies.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, his motivation was mostly to survive, but I don't think he ever actually dove into danger until he decided in Army of Darkness, I'm not going to run anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
I love, too, that this episode felt very much, for both Pablo and Kelly, like a culmination, almost an inevitable culmination of everything they've been doing in the season up until this point. For Kelly, it's very much becoming her own version of Ash.
Yeah.
And for Pablo, even though Pablo ended up, in a sense, sidelined from a lot of the action, vomiting up the weird baby sacks the entire time.
Baby demons.
That's almost like creepy baby demon vomit. This is almost like the darkest version of what he's been doing all season as well, where he's been coming into his own as well, but he's still very much, especially in his relationship with Kelly, been like a puppy dog the entire season. And here
And he even sees himself as Ash's sidekick.
Totally.
And here he's effectively Ruby's pet that she keeps in the basement, which was very distressing to see, but it made perfect sense given where he's been till now.
And he mentioned a couple episodes ago when they're chilling in the diner that he, because when Ash is saying, like, guys, I can't have a team, I'm an lone wolf, that was from a couple episodes earlier. But I can't have a team because you're going to get possessed. I'm going to have to cut your heads off, and nobody's going to have fun with that. And Pablo specifically said, I would be honored if you cut my head off, sir. And then in this episode, when Ash is refusing to fight him, actually tried to take the chainsaw to cut his own head off. Like, that's heart-wrenching to watch Pablo have to do that.
Is.
But he's still being as proactive as he possibly can in this scenario.
I also love just the quintessential Ash moment of, Pablo, you forgot to remind me to gas it up. You beautiful idiot. And it's like Ash.
That was great.
Even when you're like being nice, you're a dick. Like, come on.
There was that one moment right after he gets up after falling down the stairs where he goes, Pedro. No, I mean, wait, Pablo, what? And that almost felt like he flubbed a line and they kept it in because it was fantastic.
Because it was funny.
It. I must have whacked my beaver.
I thought that was kind of funny.
So good.
Yeah, I think that would be hilarious if he flubbed a line and they just like
because
like,
it was it was a fantastic moment, but it felt really odd.
I felt very organic to me, so I feel like, yes, he actually just flubbed the line, and they're like, nah, we're just going to go with it.
Keep it.
I will say, I am a fan of, like, the possession trope where somebody's, like, possessed, but they're still aware of it. I think that that's personally more compelling than when, like, somebody just gets possessed by a Deadeye, and they're just like, there's nothing you can do about it. Mm-hmm. I like seeing that internal and external struggle. I think it's very interesting. Yeah. Some people are like, whatever. I don't like that. I've seen that too many times. What do you guys think?
I like the struggle. I liked everything that was going. Like, I don't know. It sounds weird to be like, I liked what was going on with Pablo in this episode. But I mean, it's something that I said previously. Like, if there's anyone who's gonna be able to fight and hold on to their humanity in the face of, well, literally being sort of possessed by the Necronomicon, I guess.
In the face of a face.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be Pablo because he's such a quintessentially good person.
Now, we do have one other loose thread that we hadn't necessarily... We talked about it last week, and we didn't get a resolution to it. What's the deal with his medallion? We never really got an explanation as to why it reacts to the Necronomicon in the way that it does, and why the Necronomicon... I'm having a hard time talking about it.
It's a hard word.
Necronomicon
hard word to
was
say.
Attracted to him because of it, or if that was even the case at all.
She calls him the Aura Magnus Necronomicon, which I'm like, what is that? She's like, shut up, you're the, and then this weird thing. And I was like, what does that mean? Is that has anything to do with the necklace, or is it just like,
was it
your
just
face
a coincidence? Was the necklace trying to warn him, like, hey, you might want to watch out for that giant floating evil
maybe
face?
You should run away.
I would love if that was the necklace's point, was that it's like a compass for evil that just showed, and it's like, there, it's right
evil
there.
Evil there.
It's coming at your face. It's coming at your face. Move it.
So I don't know. This is one of the, like I said, one of the frustrating things about this being the season finale is, like, I still have so many questions, but there are so many vague possibilities.
Yeah.
And as much as I enjoy theorizing with people, I'm like, I also like answers.
I agree. You know, what's interesting is, something that they were talking about in the chat was that the ending was very, very open-ended, as are the ending to the Evil Dead films. However, the Evil Dead films, I would argue, are more of a complete story, where it's certainly open. I mean, the ending of Evil Dead 2 is certainly open-ended. But it told a complete story within the context of that film. I feel this is an incomplete story.
Yeah, especially because, like, we're driving off, and you can even see the frustration on Pablo and Kelly's faces.
Yeah.
Going, like,
we didn't get an answer. This was a...
Like, this is the end of the world, and now we're just gonna have to go back to the cabin later on. It's like, guys, I kind of wanted to put a pin in that. As much as I love the cabin because it makes for great horror and nostalgia,
yes,
I kind of want to put a pin in it.
I agree with you. Yeah. And in the ending, when he was making the deal with Ruby regarding going to Jacksonville, I almost felt like he had a plan.
I did too, just because they already showed, here is the option, here is her creepy Deadite voice, take it.
And
he doesn't. So that's the end of that.
And what's kind of funny too is the way she was describing it, it sounded like she was going to, like, send him and them back in time to act as an undo button, but she didn't. All it was him, like, handing, grabbing onto the postcard and her going, well, here's some money for gas.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
I could have done that. I don't need to be a dark one.
The deal, as she laid it out to Ash, was you can go and have a normal life. Fine. You want to bring your friends? Fine. You can all go and have normal lives. But yeah, it seems like what the deal actually is no, you're just going to die in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Here, die later.
Yeah. I was almost expecting her to, like, cast an evil spell on them and to make them think that they were in this other realm when really they're just still hanging out in the cabin as she's, like, doing her evil magic or whatever, trying to take over the world.
Yeah, it just becomes a weird Twin Peaks scenario.
Yeah, like...
I would watch that. I would watch that every day.
But now they're just on a road trip to somewhere else trying to avoid the sinkholes and going la 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 la, nothing bad is happening, la 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 la, let's put on AC/DC, but strangely enough not put on Highway to Hell.
Maybe that
That's
song
confusing.
was more expensive?
Probably.
There was a lot of odd decisions.
I do think him making the deal did feel a little bit like, okay, well, we want a second season, so let's do this so that we don't solve everything right here. But if you're going to go that way, I did think the deal that he made was interesting in that it both demonstrates a little bit of growth for him because he wants to make sure that the deal includes his
friends,
back, while also demonstrating how little he's grown in that he's doing that, but he's still taking the easiest possible route.
He's short-sighted enough to think that this is actually an option and that she'll actually keep her word or that she will be an effective gatekeeper of evil. Whatever that means. What does that mean that you're just going to contain evil? Oh, I want humanity to flourish. But like as pets, as like domesticated cats,
as Pablo-esque. Like we just watch what she thinks of humans.
Deadites
why
need people to victimize and eat.
They need to be weird husks for their children.
Good, there is no evil. And I'm wondering if these demon children that were created, who they actually did have a name, but I was reading it in the it's like Darko something or other, but I don't remember what it was.
Demon baby
some Latin name.
Feel free to correct me in the chat or the comments, whatever. But I'm wondering if these are actually meant to combat Deadites who are clearly not on board with Ruby doing what she's doing, or if they're going to grow, because they do look like children, if they're going to grow into even more grotesque and awesome demons like we got with Eligos. Because as cool as these kids were, I feel like Eligos was like where we peaked in terms of makeup, which it was awesome, but I thought we were going to keep like raising the bar after that.
They were kind of Eligos-esque, so maybe they're little baby Eligos. Like
Eligoses.
But that was my first thought when Pablo vomited up the sack, was that it looked like the little sad potato picture of Eligos in the book. Like who's making a bunch of them? It's terrifying.
It's the grossest potato ever.
Stop
ruining potatoes for me.
I really feel like I almost would have rather they ended things with the cabin. I mean, I'm thrilled to see Ruby come back, most likely in season 2, because I love Lucy Lawless and there's so many unanswered questions about her character, but I almost would have preferred, I think, if they just wrapped it up a little more with the cabin, and it's like, yeah, we did a thing, but then they unleashed, more demons, like more baby Eligi upon humanity.
Well, and I really just kind of want the deleted scene of all of them, like, just kind of standing around awkwardly and then, like, leaving the cabin and looking to see see it still on fire and go, oh. Should somebody... No, okay, she'll take care of it, whatever. And then, like, hop in the car and then sit in the car for a couple minutes very, very awkwardly as Pablo and Kelly are just fuming at him. I want that deleted scene because to me, that's what had to happen. We had that fade to white and then they're in the car. I thought something magical was going to happen. I don't know. But all in all, again, kind of just... dialing it back because we're going to have to start making predictions soon. Overall thoughts on this season. This was a hell of a ride.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, and I think, for the first, probably 6 or 7 episodes, it was just on point. It was so good. And then, it misstepped a little for me towards the end. But overall, I really enjoyed it. And when it started to misstep, we had the added, like, fun nostalgia factor of being back at the cabin, so that sort of offset it.
Yeah. I will say that this is, like, there aren't very many shows that are straight-up horror comedy.
Yeah.
And I want to say that, and there are a couple on right now, definitely there are more horror shows going on with the zombie craze that's still lingering, strangely enough. But... I will say that this was probably my favorite horror show of the year.
Yeah.
It's like, I had so much fun. But yeah, I agree. I feel like it misstepped in the last couple episodes there, starting with the militia one, where I was like, this feels a little fillery. And then from there, anytime it would, like, do something really great, it would do something minor that I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. So... all in all, really great, but I'm really hoping that they loosen up their licensing stuff so that they can really tighten up the story for the next season.
I agree.
Yeah, I would say, for me, certainly not perfect, and obviously we've talked about little things that we didn't necessarily think worked, but as a season 1 of a TV show, and season 1s almost invariably have to figure out what they're doing, how they want to do it, they have some kinks they got to sort out. I think incredibly strong, incredibly assured first season. Also proved pretty conclusively that you don't need Sam Raimi to be there on set every single day to tell a story set in this world, which is great. I think all they got to do really is just maybe smooth out a couple of the rough edges, tweak a little bit. Pacing, maybe.
It needs some tweaking, yeah.
But not huge. To me, the flaws are relatively minor, especially when compared with all of the stuff that this show is doing really, really, really well. That, like, as you say, no other show on TV is doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that the quality of the show is what makes things like the missed opportunity with Amanda Fisher's character really egregious, because everything else is so good.
I completely agree, because in a series that was not as strong as this one is overall, that wouldn't have been as glaringly obvious.
Yeah.
I am just really pleased that this show has been so phenomenal, because when they announced it, I think everybody kind of had the same, oh, please be good.
Please be good. Please be good.
Please be good.
We've been waiting for this for 30 years.
Yeah, and just from the very first episode, when you watch it, you're like, okay,
I'm home.
It's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
And it's one that I hope that they will consider doing 45-minute episodes, because I feel like a lot of the problems with it are because you are putting a horror and a comedy subgenre in one, and in order to fully get that, not have it have weird pacing problems, 22 minutes isn't a lot of minutes. So I'm hoping that they'll either do more episodes that are linked a little bit better, more episodic-esque, or make the episodes longer so that we get more of a complete story in each episode without it feeling like they have to cut
corners.
I would be now that it's all out, I would be very interested to kind of binge watch it, because with the half-hour format, it would be interesting to see like how all the episodes kind of string together back to back, because it is very much that episode ends and we pick up exactly where that episode left off and continue.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these grievances I have with the finale of season 1 would not exist if I had been binging this as I binge other shows. And if season 2 was right there for me to go, oh, okay, yes, I will continue watching Netflix. Thank you for asking me. Like, I'm a little insulted, but thank you for asking me.
If it was a Netflix original series where they give you all of them at once and it's made to be binge watched, then I would be a little bit more lenient. But having to wait a week, I'm like, give me more.
And I go, of course, we get that too, but like now we have to wait until probably October. And I'm like, about that. I want it now.
Yeah.
But then that gives you plenty of time to go back over season 1, see how the pacing plays when you watch them all back to back to back to back to back, form new theories, get super excited about stuff that may happen and probably won't. 2 things I think are really cool. One is that there is, now that this season is completed, about twice as much Evil Dead in the world as there was before. I think that's cause for celebration. That makes my heart super, super warm. The other thing is, we live in an age now where we are constantly getting either reboots or these long gap sequels, and there were a bunch of them that came out this year. Some of them were really good and some of them were really not good,
and we've got more coming in 2016, so.
And this to me is one of the best that I've seen. It's like Fury Road, Force Awakens, Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Yeah, totally.
Like, it could be Mad Max, or it could be Jim and the Holograms, and it could have gone either way. And thank God that it wasn't that groan-worthy chunk of sadness. It could have been. It could have been
truly outrageous. Truly outrageous.
Well, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Okay, let's go ahead and move into predictions. We are running late, so let's move into what we think is going to happen in season 2.
Your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Just demons. Just tons, so many Kandarian demons. I'm sorry, Kandarian demons.
Kandarian demons. We have to be fancy when we speak about Kandarian
Every time that we have this debate, I hear Rocket Raccoon in my head going, Kandarians. What a bunch of losers.
That was a pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Not bad, not
We
bad.
said we were going to do bad ones.
Yeah.
But so season 2, obviously we have Ash heading to Jacksonville. I don't think it's going to take long for him to realize that this is not the utopia he played it out to be in his mind. What I'm wondering is how long, in terms of this world invasion, like how long is it actually going to take for demons to overrun the world? Because right now sinkholes are just popping up
Everywhere.
I know.
everywhere. But at the same time, it's like you do have to keep in mind the show's budget and whether or not they're going to be able to, in any way, shape, or form, illustrate that demons are taking over the entire planet.
Yeah.
I like, as much as I love this show, I'm like, man, I really, really hope they give them a higher budget for season 2 because they're being really ambitious. Because at no point during the Evil Dead film franchise did I ever feel like the entire world was going to be overrun with demons. Even in Army of Darkness, when there was a literal army of demons, I really felt like it was just that castle that was in trouble.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, it's kind of like how the Resident Evil video game series evolves, where it's like, it's just the mansion, and then it's just Raccoon City, and then it just like kind of slowly spreads. And I wonder if that's what's happening right now, because it's not like, again, they weren't magically transported to Jacksonville. They're literally on a road trip there. So for all we know, they're not actually that far away from the cabin just yet.
And it's a very awkward road trip, too. Like, I don't know how long we're going to stick in the car with Pablo and Kelly.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
I'm thinking you can see right into season 2 just the stereotypical, here's the postcard, lower it, and oh, that's what Jacksonville is.
Well, forget this. This wasn't worth it. Let's go back to that cabin and have a chat with this Ruby girl.
I hope they don't do a Walking
want a
Dead,
refund.
though, and just show us news footage to be like, here it is. You know, we get a little bit of the radio report.
Yeah.
And I could see them potentially just having news reports as the only source.
As much as I like Walking Dead, which I do, I love Walking Dead, but it has some serious pacing problems, and there's a lot of just I feel like there are entire seasons of just wandering in the woods with nothing happening.
Yes.
And again, I love Walking Dead, guys. I'm not hating on Walking
would
Dead.
not work for this show.
No.
I don't think I can take an entire season of Pablo, Ash, and Kelly wandering around in the woods as the rest of humanity crumbles. Like, that's not something I'm interested in seeing. I'm interested in seeing, okay, how are we going to get Ash back in the mindset of we have to fight this because nobody else can or will? Or that's another question. Are there going to be other characters like we had with Amanda who are going to try to combat what's going on?
Yeah.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I would love to see another Amanda-esque character that didn't
meet
end up
the
like
same
Amanda.
fate.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to write to somebody and be like, this is why this was problematic.
So here's something else they could do if and when they want to keep the show going but don't know how to keep pushing this arc. I believe in this episode somewhere, as an Easter egg, they threw the Freddy Krueger glove into the cabin somewhere. So there are comic books that were published for years and years and years after Army of Darkness, when there were no more movies happening, where they put Ash up against everybody you could think of, whether it's Freddy Krueger and Jason,
Whether
or like the Reanimator. So I'm just going, especially if the long gap sequel reboot trend continues, just do that every season.
Alien versus Predator versus Ash.
Done. Done. It will run for 50 years.
I love it. That's great.
I mean, there were, like I said, there were a lot of fun references. Actually, I will point out one other reference I did like was him taking, his hair dye and running a streak through his hair. If you guys remember in Evil Dead 2, he had a streak of gray. And we know that Ash has been dyeing his hair because he got older, but I thought that one streak, I was like, that's a nice little nod.
I also enjoyed when Amanda said she was going to swallow his soul.
Yes.
But I was real sad that he didn't shoot her in the mouth and say, swallow this.
We could have had it all.
But at least we did get to have him not blowing the head off of a demon, but the body off of the head of a demon.
Yep.
Well, and I'm kind of disappointed that I don't get an answer to my question of whether or not a person post-dying actually can be brought back, because even in Evil Dead 2, when Annie started singing, the Deadite recognized it, and you could see emotion go across the face, even though Henrietta was very clearly dead. So I am a little disappointed, again, just tying things back to Amanda. And I don't want to harp on that.
No.
Again, there was a lot of fun stuff going on.
Yeah.
Season 2 opens with Heather, just all the way back to just...
Hey, guys.
You're just the head, just like bouncing along through the woods, waiting for somebody else to kick it so it moves a little faster.
I love it.
Again, it'll be interesting if it's Ruby versus the Deadites versus Ash, or I don't know, maybe Freddy Krueger will pop up. It'll be a lot of fun.
So great. It's call Robert Englund. What's he doing? I bet he would love to do that.
Conventions. I don't know.
They're working on another reboot. I don't know. We'll see.
Yes.
Anywho, do you guys have any other comments before we wrap it up for this evening and this season? Anything else in the live chat we want to bring up? Any other notions or predictions, or just overall commentary?
I just really enjoyed when Ash was arming everybody to go into the basement. He's like, I gotta protect the people I love, and Kelly's like, that includes me, right? He's like, oh yeah, definitely. And Heather's like, and me. He's like, yeah, other girl.
Just stay close to her.
So good.
I feel like it's that College Humor skit for Jurassic Park. They actually got the lawyer from Jurassic Park back for the skit, and he's like, wait a minute, I'm only here to die, aren't I? No, of course not.
That's great.
Oh yeah? What's my name?
Victim.
Didn't they do that joke in Galaxy Quest?
Yes. Yep.
They did that too.
Definitely in Galaxy Quest.
But they had an entire skit. Anyway, anybody else? Any other thoughts?
I think I'm really excited for season 2. I don't think we're gonna get the Walking Dead meandering, because with Walking Dead there is no source of, they don't know where it came from, they don't know how to stop it. Ash knows this started with him. It is his quest to end it. So I think we're gonna get some strong story arcs, strong central dramatic questions, and hopefully some answers.
Hopefully some answers would be nice. Lex, any other thoughts?
I'm just excited.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know what the context was, but a minute ago in the chat, our friend Paul White said that Scotland was haunted. All of it?
It is.
Like the
Fact.
whole place.
No, guys, as someone who, my family is from Scotland, I am first generation American on my dad's side. I've been to Scotland many times.
She's a ghost.
Yeah, I am actually a ghost. And I'm just gonna disaparate now. No, but the entire country is fairly haunted. Listen, guys, there were like clan wars happening for years in Scotland.
There was that crazy clan of cannibals.
Yeah, they were like very, very, very fond of like beheading monarchs there as well.
Why do you guys think Macbeth is a ghost story?
Season 3.
Season 3.
Ash versus Scotland.
Well, what I'm really pulling for in season 2, not just, the things that we've talked about, but I also really want another dark one to pop up, or possibly even multiple dark ones to pop up and go, you can't do this, Ruby.
Yeah, yes.
Like, we won't let
all
you.
the dark ones.
And I really want like a dark one turf war and make it even more Godfather-y.
Yep.
And that's the musical episode, and it's West Side Story, but with Deadites?
That would be the greatest episode of television
When you're a
of all
Deadite.
time.
You're welcome.
This is all I want now in this life. That is all I want.
Well, guys, we want to thank you guys for tuning in to listen. We want to know in the comments, please, like I said, go to iTunes, go to YouTube. We love hearing from you guys. Tweet us on Twitter.
Yeah.
We want to know, what are your guys' predictions for season 2? What did you like about this season? What did you not like? What do you think could have been fleshed out a little bit more? What do you want them to work on in season 2? Do you think our predictions have any weight, or do you think we are off our rockers? We want to hear from you guys. So we want, again, thank you so much to everybody on the hashtag, everybody in the live chat for staying up and tuning in with us.
Go pass out, Paul. You're drunk. Go home.
You're drunk. Go home. Emma Fyffe, where can people go if they want to find you?
To the internet, Twitter, Instagram, at Emma Fyffe. I'm very active in both of those places. I also do a bunch of other shows here at AFTERBUZZ TV. A lot of them are on hiatus right now, but Face Off will be coming back very soon, as well as Agent Carter, which I'm very, very excited to be joining the panel for this season.
I'm so glad you're on the team.
I know, and I also do a Sailor Moon podcast because I like zombies and I also like magical girls, and that is called Love and Justice. So you should look that up. It's a lot of fun.
And she also haunts castles and
I do, yeah.
She's got a full roster. I'm Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan and on Instagram at That Alana Jordan Girl. And if you want to hang out with Emma and I on Valentine's Day and you're in Phoenix, check out the amazing Phoenix Comic Con.
Okay, that sounds great. Lex Michael, all over social media at the Lex Michael. Yes, come talk to me about things. I love all of you. Mwah.
And I'm Megan. You guys can tweet at me and follow me on Instagram at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. Tweet me your favorite parts of the Evil Dead musical. I want to hear about it. And I also write articles for the Movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out, folks. Thank you again.
You're so awesome.
Cannot wait for next season, next October. Halloween is the best time of the year, and I have to wait 10 months for it. This is lame. So thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you all next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Groovy.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.